2 tags, 1 hunt. We did
2 units.
2 different units. Yeah! Yes!
Ken. Chip, this is almost it. We kind of, I ended up moving away from Arizona, and we decided that we were going to take all of our leftover points for elk and just put them in and hope that we would get drawn. And we did. Yay! For 2 different units. Ooh! Fortunately, they were right next to each other. So Chip, when you found out you got drawn, what kind of stuff went through your head to make sure you were getting ready?
That's where we're starting?
Yeah.
Oh, good grief.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right, I'll go first.
Goodness sakes.
So we used all our points, and we got drawn for different units. We didn't know it at the time, but
Yeah.
I had decided I was going to look into getting a different bow. I was having trouble getting the arrows to fly straight out of mine that I previously had. So I was at the archery shop talking to them, looking at stuff, and I got a notification on my phone saying that I had a charge to my card from Arizona Fish and Game in the amount of an elk tag. So, yay, I kind of jumped up and down and had to tell everybody in the shop what just happened. And I think I sent a few texts to people saying, I just got drawn for an elk tag. And I'm at the shop, so now I get to spend more money getting set up. Prior to buying a new bow, I'd watched lots of YouTube videos, looked things up on Google, the internet, just trying to understand different aspects and parts to find out what kind of a bow would be the best option to get for something that I can use for a long time. So I got a new bow set up. I did the same thing with arrows, lots of YouTube videos trying to learn how to find the most efficient and effective arrow, and there are lots of different camps for that, and people are going to argue one way or this way, and I decided I'd settle somewhere in the middle and actually built my own arrows from tip to nock, all the pieces. I'd never done that before, but it turned out pretty good, and before I came with lots of practice, I hit a 3-inch circle at 87 yards. So
I really had started the process of prepping for this hunt a year before, in a sense, in that looking at making elk camp more hospitable.
yeah,
In the sense that we do, you know,
we got a little cushy this year.
we did, yeah. We do a campsite, and then we hunt from that site. So we're not hunting out of a backpack. We're not just running and gunning that way and setting up a camp every night in a different place.
Yeah.
And packing our stuff on our back. We set up camp, and then we go from there. And so looking at it through that lens, along the way, Laura and I had purchased a used truck camper, and with that in mind, and once we had the truck camper, then I started thinking about what are the options we would like to have in that camper to make backcountry bushwhacking, off-grid camping a little bit more hospitable and a little bit easier to do some things with.
Mm-hmm.
So in that process, That involved buying a solar generator and solar panels to run the lights, you know, and have a plan to
A refrigerator?
a refrigerator and a stove and some different amenities that we weren't used to having. My planning process was a little bit longer and drawn out. Everything from what coolers to have to how to outfit the camper for hunting. Yes, we'll use it as a recreational space too, but my primary focus was backcountry opportunities, off-grid bushwhacking kind of stuff, and being able to do that and not just be at a campground.
Yeah.
So
2 different units, and how are we going to manage that?
yeah.
We did 1 or 2 Zoom videos, I think, or Zoom calls to try and look at different areas for the 2 units. Fortunately, they were right next to each other, so the overall plan was try and pick a spot that we could be at close to the border, that maybe we could hop back and forth if we had to, if the hunting was a challenge, and maybe we even split up one day. You go to your unit, me go to mine. And I did some scouting with the cameras, or with the Onyx, I mean. I got here before Chip, so I drove around, tried to scout some area, look for places to set up camp, watched for elk, got out and looked around a spot we'd been at 6 years ago, didn't really see much sign. Set up my tent just to stay the night. It was getting late. While I'm there, some guy comes walking up the road, wants to chat with me, smell of booze on his breath. So I was like, well, I'll take it with a grain of salt. But we were talking, and he told me of a spot he'd been to not far away that he rarely sees other people, and he's almost always seen elk around there, especially cows, which is what we were after. So the next morning I drove down there, looked around, saw a couple of spike bulls as I drove in, and walked around a little bit, and I saw more sign there, and fresh sign, which I hadn't seen anywhere else. And was thinking, all right, this could be a good opportunity. And then went back to town, waited for Chip. We met up, drove out there, set up camp, and we went for a little walk that evening just to look around a little bit.
And yeah, we didn't want to really invade the territory too deeply and leave a lot of scent around and let everybody know we were there.
Right.
We just felt stealth mode might be a little bit more to our advantage. So.
But we picked a nice little rock outcrop on the top of a hill, so we at least could see. And if anything was coming through, we'd kind of have an idea of where and when. And
yeah, it gave us a nice little perch we could look. We had flat straight ahead of us that kind of rolled down into two
little
really
drainage,
valleys, but drainages,
washes, something like that.
Yeah.
But kind of gently, so we could see most of it. And it was open enough timber we could see a ways. And the wind was pretty good for us, actually.
Kind of coming from our
almost northeast
and blowing across us and headed to our backside a little bit.
Yeah.